Welcome to the Set Apart Podcast. And today we have Brandon Diaz from On the Water Daily. We have his wife here as well. And man, I'm happy for you to be here. And I'd love for you to introduce yourself. And hopefully more people can know about what On the Water Daily does and really what your family does as well.
Awesome, brother. I appreciate you having us. And we appreciate you for everything you're doing for us and having us on today. And not just having us on, but having us the opportunity to tell our story, right? So I'm Brandon Diaz, the founder of On the Water Daily. On the Water Daily is a...
Wait, hold on. Were you born? Are you from Miami? Like your parents are, everything. I want to know
the whole story.
The whole story.
From start to finish. So I'm a Hialeah, Miami Lakes born and raised kid. So born in Hialeah Hospital, raised in Miami Lakes. My parents came over in the Mariel boat lift in the 80s. Typical Miami story, right? You have all the guys that, the grandparents tell them stories about communism in Cuba and everything they dealt with in Cuba. And you have that generation of Cubans that came over Mariel. They hear the story of my grandfather, which he was my idol and he was my everything. Grew up in Miami, went to high school in Madero Lakes up in the Hialeah, Miami Lakes area. Went to college at FIU, so double grad from FIU, got my bachelor's, and then ended up getting my master's in marketing from FIU as well.
Did your grandfather come in Mariel as well?
Yeah, so both sides of my parents, my mom's side and my dad's side, both came from the Mariel.
Wow. And did you live with your grandparents and your parents, everybody together when they came here?
So when my family came here, yeah, they all lived together in Hialeah. My grandfather from my mother's side was the one that I was really close to. Fast forward, a couple years back, Mayor Bovo and Commissioner Rene Garcia actually helped me name the street after him. Wow. A couple years after he passed away. Fast forward, a couple years back before that, I got to find out my grandfather was somebody that was, I kind of think about, why do I enjoy politics? Why do I enjoy networking? Why do I enjoy all these things? Ended up coming to be it was the inspiration that came from my grandfather and his relationships with Bovo and all these guys from the city of Hialeah when they first originally started in council many, many years ago in the 90s. So
that's wild.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure he'll be proud of you.
Yeah, I hope he will. Yeah.
So On the Water Daily is when we had first talked about it, you told me, it's more like a lifestyle brand, right?
Yep.
So talk to me more about that. How did that even come up and what does it even mean to you?
No, and I appreciate that. So On the Water Daily started as JetSki Daily. So a lot of people know that name. We started back in 2012. It was about, 4 guys in high school, sophomores in high school, and we were all like just shooting the shit. Like, yo, we ride every weekend jet skis. Let's create an Instagram account, right? So we did that. And typical high schoolers, right? 4 boys are like, yo, let's do this. And nobody sticks to it, right? So I'm the guy that's like, all right, I'm going to stick with it. Nobody else decided to pony up with me. And I ran with it. And by the time you know it, I was a junior in high school. Our Instagram account alone had 15,000 followers just on Instagram alone. And this was the era of you can still grow organically on social. So it wasn't you had to run ads. You didn't have to buy followers.
15's a lot.
So that was just on Instagram alone. This was back in 2012. So fast forward 2 more years, 2013, 2014, more or less. So as we started scaling, I said, all right, there's potential here. So I started hosting events, right? We started scaling to the point that we started picking up recognition from brands of, Yamaha Marine, Riva Motorsports and Marine up in Pompano Beach. And again, I was 17, 18 years old, right? I still hadn't even gotten to college yet. I was still finishing up high school. And I'm saying to myself, I'm sitting with a C-suite executive of guys that, number one, handle marketing for huge firms, huge companies such as Yamaha and big companies like Riva Racing, which manufacture all the racing parts for all jet skis worldwide. And these guys came to me like, how can we partner with you?
That's crazy.
Like, can you help us provide exposure for some of our parts on jet skis? So we started hosting annual media days. So every time they had a brand new build for a jet ski, they would invite us out. And we'd cover media and do whole stories on social media.
But what, with an iPhone or like true media?
So at the time, we were very, very low key, very unprofessional. We had iPhone, very simple edits. We had some drone shots, very simple stuff. But man, these were the days where, you didn't have to run, a bunch of thousands and thousands of dollars of ads on social to truly get that organic reach, right? So we did that, and we did with Riva. We hosted events down in Miami, here in Miami, and down in the Keys. And what I mean by events is you imagine like a poker run for bikes, but on the water. Wow. So all the guys would meet up. Let's just say I'll just give you a background. So we'd meet up in Key Largo in Caribbean Club, and the whole idea is of, I see a bunch of guys now that do boat runs. That concept really started with us at JetSki Daily back in 2014, 2015. we hosted one of the first runs from Key Largo to Alamorada, which is what's done like every other month now on social. If you see it from a bunch of different groups. And then we started realizing 100 people show up, and then 2, 3, 4. It got to the point that we started having 400 to 500 people show up to these events. And I'm saying to myself, all right, let me start reaching out to the Coast Guard. So I started doing real professional. I started reaching out to the Coast Guard, making sure they were on point. They knew what was going on. And again, I was like 18 years old, 19 years old. And I'm saying to myself, what am I doing? Like, this is crazy. And then on top of that, we had people coming from all over the country. So we had people coming down from New York, from California. And I was like, all right, this is working. Now,
what do you think? What do you think was it that was working? What do you think that interests people so much on that?
So at the time, I didn't have the oversaturation. I used a tagline that JetSki Daily, in its original form, was the world's first and largest personal watercraft lifestyle, brand, right? And at the time, there weren't 50, 100, 200 pages like there is now, because we lived in that era of social media where there wasn't an oversaturation of pages. Now I just feel like there's so many pages for boating, for jet skiing, for everything marine based, and not just marine based, but overall, because how many years, we've been in this world of social, right? Instagram has been around since 2014. Facebook's been around for over a decade already. So these things, as years go by, more people create more pages. So, and plus, like I said, we lived in the world of organic reach was just a real thing. Now we're living more in the world of you kind of have to run more ad space and stuff like that. And on top of that, we took advantage of Facebook events. We took advantage of Facebook groups. Like, we have a Facebook group, I think, that has over 1,000 members from all over the United States on Facebook alone, which is a Facebook group that people have to opt into. So it goes to show you the engagement we were getting, that people were even willing to engage on Facebook groups.
So how did JetSki Daily transition, or what did you feel that was like we need to transition kind of out of it? Because a lot of these, like you said, if you don't kind of adapt to, where did you feel like, hey, we need to adapt and change to On the Water Daily?
Yeah, so in 2020, I was finishing up my bachelor's, and JetSki Daily was my inspiration to go into marketing. So that's the tie-in, how I got into the whole field of marketing communications, which I do for a living now. So my freshman year of college, I was sitting in my intro to marketing class, and the light bulb went off. I'm like, I've been doing this for 5 years for free. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So fast forward to 2020, I'm finishing my bachelor's degree, and I'm saying,
wait, hold on, you weren't making money in all these things?
So I was making money, but my point was that with the page itself, like the actual,
you weren't
Instagram
making
account,
money on, or you weren't monetizing the account.
Correct.
Got it.
So that's kind of where I was getting at. So I was like, and I can get paid to do this. Like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I've already proven it to myself that I can build my own brand. Now let me test myself and start doing it in the professional field, right? So in 2020, I was finishing up my bachelor's degree. I started working for the town of Miami Lakes. So I did all the marketing and communications for Miami Lakes as well, which was my first like professional gig in comms and marketing, separate from building my own brand. So that was like my first chip on my shoulder. Like, let me prove it to myself that I can build another brand when it comes to comms and marketing. And at the same time, I was already looking into my master's program. So I sat down and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to focus myself on my master's program, which is the master's in marketing that I mentioned to you. And I was like, all right, I have to dedicate myself to this. Like, I can't ride every weekend to ski because my master's program is 9 to 5 on Saturdays. It's like a full-time job, practically getting a master's degree at FIU, which was like an accelerated master's program. Saturdays, Sundays, all day long, studying and working on that. So then I killed the page, for lack of better terms. I just let the page sit for like 4 years. Wow. And when Barbie and I got together, my wife, we sat down and we're like, she's like, you have this account. And I had grown it to 50,000 followers just on Instagram. Across all the platforms, I want to say we had like 300,000, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, etc. And she's like, you have this account just sitting there. Let's do something with it. And that's how On the Water Daily was born. We had the conversation. We're obviously fast forward 5-7 years down the road. Jet skiing, I say passionate about it, but I'm really passionate about the overall on the water lifestyle, which is boating, fishing, paddleboarding, everything on the water, with the ultimate goal being, right, that we can scale this and other things to spend every day on the water daily is the idea.
Not because she's here. What do you think that Barbie means to you in this whole brand and everything that you've done, but like, your whole life? Like, I feel like a lot of it comes from your partner,
Definitely. No, and that's a fact, man. We've been through a lot together. We've had a lot of family, we did a lot of family stuff. Publicly, a lot of stuff. A lot of people that know us personally have known everything we've been through together. On the Water Daily wouldn't be where it's at today if it wasn't for Barbie, because Barbie was the one that sparked that fire in me. She was the one that was like, babe, do the page. Babe, I'm so busy. I have so many things. I have clients. I have my consulting. I work for the city. There's too much shit going on. Babe, do the page. She was like a chipping hammer every single day. And if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have gotten this restarted. So.
You crying or you sweating?
Tearing up a little bit.
Okay. Do you think that you've enjoyed it more, the On the Water Daily, than you enjoyed it with JetSki Daily? Or how's the actual enjoyment of it? Because sometimes things they start with good intentions and then they become more of like a chore. Talk to me about, the actual keeping up, because it's hard to keep up with a page. If not, that's kind of why I kind of died, because the amount of work. Has it stayed fun? Have you enjoyed it? Because there's a lot of people out there that have their page, and even podcasts. There's a lot of people that it's very easy to start a podcast. It's very difficult to maintain one because it gets old super quick. You know? So talk to me about the level of of enjoyment that you've had up to today with On the Water Daily.
Yeah, so I definitely say it was a rise with JetSki Daily. I peaked and then it kind of fell off the cliff, right? With JetSki Daily, I was a young kid, bro, I'm so popular. I have 20,000 followers on Instagram, right? That mentality of a teenager. And the page got so big that I started having events. And then I started getting a little bit older. The reality set in. When you're hosting events, what is there? There's liabilities, right? And when you have an LLC, when you have all these things, when you have a business, you start realizing, oh shit, somebody can come after me. So I started kind of getting to that point where I was like, I'm doing all these events for JetSki Daily, and I was noticing that, I was doing good work and good events, but I wasn't really getting much entertainment and enjoyment out of it. So when I first started, it was the hype, the adrenaline, like, bro, we got 500 people to show up for an event.
You're just happy about it.
Right? And then not only just that, but the brand deals and stuff like that, it was going good, but I noticed that I was in a box with the jet ski community. So I kind of capped out and then just fell off the side of the cliff. With On the Water Daily, there's a real reward in the work that we're doing, because everybody talks about building a brand and selling merch, selling hats, selling whatever it is. The idea is much more than that, right? What we're trying to do here with On the Water Daily is not just have a platform that we can use to grow our brand, but really to give back. And what I mean by that is we have a couple organizations that we're already working with. Like one example right now, CCA Florida. They're Coastal Conservation Association of Florida. So that's actually one of the big posts that we put up on social media that helped us really boom this On the Water Daily movement. And a shout out to Captain Rick Murphy and his entire team and the Homestead chapter of CCA Florida, which Barbie's fishing this week in the tournament with. But the idea is that with them, they do coastal conservation work, restocking the redfish in Biscayne Bay, coral restoration. So our angle to that is really to help them with the awareness element of it, right? And just truly drive their message and help them expand to get members, support, sponsors. That's one example of it, right? Most pages won't really do that unless it's like their own foundation. Or the idea with us is that we really want to give back. So that's one example. The other example of it is exactly like what we're doing now with the South Florida PBA, right? Law enforcement is a thing that I'm really passionate about personally myself. And these guys put themselves on the line every day for each and every one of us. So I said to myself, how can we really help our local officers here in South Florida? We talked to the guys from the PBA and they were like, let's sit down and talk. And we did that. And long story short, we're going to be helping them to scale the South Florida PBA's fishing tournament, which the ultimate goal is to generate relevant funds. And the idea with that is to give back to fallen officers and their families when time of need.
Oh, you do a lot for the officers, even for like the pig roast and the pig roast boys. You're part of the pig roast boys, right?
The generals, baby.
The generals.
You know it.
Talk to me about that a little bit, about what the pig roast boys do and what they mean to you.
Yeah, those guys are a special group of guys, and honestly, man, it's been a blessing to be a part of the team with Louis, Kiko, Karim, Chef Gio, and the entire squad of guys. Rem, 305 Barbecue, all the guys. What we're really scaling with the Pig Roast Boys is something really special in the Pig Roast Bowl. I mean, the idea with that, it really is to help the Love Fund and the PBA. But just to give you an example, like something that we just did last week, which is something that blew everything out of the water. I was just like, I can't believe we just did this. We fed 300 active duty military members on Southcom. So we hosted a pig roast for the United States Southern Command of the military on their base, and we gave like a little thank you to them. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. There's
a lot of things that you do. Why do you think you do all of that type of stuff?
To me, it's more than just about building a brand. It's really about genuinely giving back, man. That's a big thing for me. It's like, I kind of get that passion, like I mentioned my grandfather earlier, and I see it like, at the end of the day, man, if I can leave a place better than when I found it, that's my real goal. Whether it's a professional organization, my community, my neighbors, anybody, whoever it is, that's really like the heart of it all.
That's dope. The fishing tournament, you talked to me, you mentioned the girls are going to go fishing on Friday. What's the fishing tournament for? What does On the Water Daily have anything to do with it? Are they running it? Or, talk to me about the fishing tournament.
Yeah, man. So the South Florida PBA hosts their annual saltwater fishing tournament. It's every June. So this one's this June 7th coming up. And it's mainly a Mahi tournament, but they have different categories. On the Water Daily's partnership started this year. So this year we came in as like, hey, we can be kind of a media partner, help you promote the event. The idea really with On the Water Daily is to eventually kind of just take over the event and just be like, hey, PBA, all I got to worry about is just, signing up some additional teams. But the idea with the event overall really is with On the Water Daily is for us to take this event to the next level, right? What I mean by that is, creating a fisherman's village. It can be called the On the Water Daily Fisherman's Village, and we have vendors go out because, prime example, let's say you fish a tournament, right? You come back from the weigh-in, you weigh your fish in, and you're out. The idea would be is really your wife, your kids, everybody can come and we have, live music, vendors, everybody come hang out and spend quality time there. And not just that, but the more people that are there, the more likely they are to raise funds for the Love Fund, which is really the overall goal of the tournament, which is to raise money for officers and their families.
And Barbie, you guys better win. That's
no pressure, Oscar put his name behind us, so we got to make it happen.
Listen, John Bell Construction better win that tournament. So, On the Water Daily, I want to talk about specifically what On the Water Daily is, and I also want to know what it's not. So, can you tell me about? Because I kind of know that it's an Instagram page. It's kind of like a lifestyle kind of page and a brand. But can you tell me exactly what On the Water Daily is?
Yeah, so On the Water Daily is a online lifestyle brand. And what I mean by that is you're not just an Instagram account. We're across multiple platforms. On the Water Daily is really there to tell the story of people who want to spend their time on the water daily. It's really the goal, right? And what I mean by that is, we post content on our social media platforms about people boating, enjoying boating, fishing, anywhere from, air boating. We did a video the other day, us paddleboarding. So anything as far as from A to Z on the water is really what we do. The long-term scale with this, what we're trying to do is really want to host events regularly, right? And those events, either we're hosting them or we're cross-collaborating with people that can really give back is the overall goal.
That's dope. The actual content is a lot of the content yours? Is a lot of it is reposted?
So the content's actually content fed to us. Okay. So it's content that we're either tagged in, they use our hashtag, they send it over to us, whether it's direct message. So it's all content user generated, sent over to the main page.
Rapid fire. We're going to do some rapid fire
Send
questions.
it.
Here you go. What's your dream boat?
Dream boat, 35 CV Trip 400 Mercury Verados.
Wow. You think Barbie will agree to that?
Hell yeah.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
The Florida Keys for sure.
What key? You have a key?
Probably Alamorada.
Favorite time of the day?
The afternoon.
Best date night to go with Barbie?
Best date night to go with Barbie. Ooh, that's a trick question. Honestly, man, we love spending time on the beach and watching the sunset.
Oh, that's beautiful. I was gonna say, what's the favorite thing to do with your wife? But is it to watch the sunset with her?
Believe it or not, the favorite thing to do with my wife is to spend time on the water. We don't have a boat right now, but that's our favorite thing to do, honestly.
What's the most important thing that you want people to know about On the Water Daily?
We want people to know On the Water Daily is much more than just a lifestyle brand, much more than just an Instagram account, much more than just a social media profile, right? We're really here to make a difference and really give back. And our goal is to, as we scale our brand, we want to give back and help the community.
I love it. I think that a lot of people honestly, I feel like a lot of people have the idea that you have, like I have a plant page, we have a podcast page, we have a foundation, there's so many things that people want to do, but it's maintaining them, it's evolving them, it's making them better. Yep. So I hope that, through this episode, people can know about On the Water Daily, and I there's a lot of things I want people to know, but I also want for people to know that the path to success is never linear. You may not know what to do at 18, 19 years old.
Yep.
And, if you want to open a page and you feel like you and your boys kind of want to do it, then do it, because you never know really what it can lead to, but it's through the consistency that you had that honestly I think has opened all the doors that you have gone through right now, that if it wasn't for you and your 4 boys, doing that page, and it wasn't you actually sticking to it, I think if you would have just quit, I really don't think you'd be here right now.
No, and I wouldn't be here for sure overall, not just in my career, but in my life too, because the On the Water JetSki Daily portion of my life was one section of it, and it really propelled me into the field of what I do every day, which is communications and marketing. I'm so glad I went down that route. If it wasn't for the page, and like you said, re-engaging with it, I wouldn't have done so many events in the last 6 months that me and Barbie have been a part of, and the On the Water Daily crew's been doing. It's like all these things, again, like the fishing tournament this weekend. We wouldn't have talked and wouldn't have that conversation to create the John Bell construction team this weekend.
Well, I appreciate you guys, having us and allowing us to be part of your team. I hope the girls win. I don't want to say that they should cheat, but but if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
And we're not taking the trophy home. We didn't bring it home, man.
But listen, I appreciate everything that you do for the community, everything that even your old man and your grandfather did. But most importantly, I love what you guys do for the Love Fund, for CCA, for water conservation, for police, for everything. I think it's super important that not only that we make money, and not only that we're successful personally and professionally, but that we give back. And I think that the legacy that we leave here on earth is much more than the money we're going to leave. So
Facts.
but I appreciate you being part of our life and everything you do. So hope you guys catch us on the next one. Subscribe, like our page, comment on our page. If you have any questions, let us know. This podcast is for you, and we really enjoy sharing all the content with you. So
See you guys.
we'll catch you on the next one.